All right.
Yeah. So, welcome everybody to another night of Lord Meher. Marvin will be reading today, and so will everybody else take turns. Thank you for being here. On to you, Marvin.
Okay, page 1914, Nasik and Khan's online version. Now I have given you definite instructions. These orders you must obey at all costs. That is why I asked you both, will you do it? And you have both promised. I then gave you the orders, and now you must follow them. Don't think that you have come from such a long distance to stay with me, and I am telling you to go back. Why think that? I am definitely coming with you. Keep this very clear in your mind. I will now be present with you to help you directly. I have also told you it would be according to your wish, but the fact is that it will also be according to my wish. Not only you, speaking to Deshmukh, but she too must experience my infinite, formless state. I believe that's Deshmukh's wife. Although she might not have the same intense longing as you, still both of you have past connections with me, and you both must experience my real state. How do you know that in the past she did not have this longing? She did have it. I know it. It is I who have arranged all this. Now you must carry out my instructions literally. Baba concluded, don't meditate, but have this longing. I want to be one with Baba's infinite existence. Deshmukh and his wife left Panchgani the following day, Sunday, 10th April 1938. The same day, many persons came for Baba's darshan, including Adi Jr., who stayed some time with the Mandali. Memo and Jalbai had been staying with Baba in Panchgani and returned to Pune on the 11th. Kaka and Adi Sr. came on the 15th, and Sarosh, Padre, Ramju, and Datu Mahendarji arrived the same day for a board meeting of the MEHER Mandali Maintenance Trust from 10 a.m. to noon. Datu was a former MEHER ashram student. At Baba's request, Sarosh had given him a job working at Sarosh Cinema. Baba now wished Datu to remain with him in Panchgani to help with typing and correspondence. Later, Datu worked at Kush Recorders as Adi Senior's clerk. In England, Kitty would go to church each year on Easter Sunday. Easter in 1938 fell on 17 April, and Kitty wished to attend services in a church in Panchgani. She told Rano, and Rano said that she did not care whether or not she went to church, but she would accompany Kitty if she liked. Both set out walking to the church that evening, but they found it difficult to locate. When they finally arrived, they found it empty, and as soon as they stepped inside, heavy rain began falling. They waited inside the deserted church for the rain to stop. It ceased after some time, and they walked back to their bungalow, disappointed. Meanwhile, not finding them in the house, Baba sent Elizabeth in her car to look for them. Her car got stuck in a muddy pothole, necessitating her to hire some men to push it out. When Kitty and Rano returned, Baba asked where they had been. To church, Kitty replied. Rano added, I had no intention of going, but I went to give Kitty company. Baba spelled out to Kitty, since you are so fond of going to church, go every Sunday. I've learned my lesson today, she said. I'll never set foot in another church again. No, no, Baba emphatically told her. You must go every Sunday. Everything you need is there. You have nothing to gain by staying here and being with me. Forgive me, Baba. I will never do it again. Is it proper to go without my permission? Baba asked. Crying now, Kitty answered. It was a mistake on my part. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Baba pardoned her and gave her a kiss, taking away the pain of his scolding. On another occasion, Rano and Kitty were feeling quite depressed. Baba was so preoccupied in Panchgani with must and other work, they hardly saw him, they felt. One day, Baba came and asked the women to tell him what was on their minds. Rano and Kitty expressed their feelings. To console them, Baba said, "If I do not withdraw myself physically from you from time to time, you will not feel me here," pointing to the heart. "And it is there that I want you to feel my presence." Baba went to Satara with Elizabeth on 19th April to look at possible locations for the new ashram. Arnavaz and Nargis arrived from Bombay on the 21st and began staying with the other women at Dikusha. Arnavaz was not well and returned to Bombay after a week or so. Previously, in 1930, while traveling by train from Lahore to Amritsar, Baba and the Mandali had struck up a conversation with a fellow passenger who appeared to be in despair. After their talk, however, the man was much heartened and grateful to Baba for his advice. The person turned out to be none other than Muhammad Iqbal, the celebrated Indian poet and philosopher. Iqbal was a towering figure among pre-independence Muslim intellectuals, and it was therefore with much sadness that Ramju and Ghani heard the news of Iqbal's passing on 21st April 1938 at the age of 61.
Thank you, Marvin. Eugene, can you read next?
The next day, they were to visit Baba in Panchgani, but they were so preoccupied with other matters to be discussed that when they arrived, they completely forgot about Iqbal's demise. But pointing to one of the hairs on his head, the first thing Baba dictated on the board to them were the Urdu words, Mera Ekbal Gaya, meaning
I'm going to just say that. That's Mera Ek Bal Gaya. Yes, continue, please.
Mera Ekbal Gaya, Gaya, meaning I have lost one of my hairs. For some moments, Ramju and Ghani looked blank, and it was only when Baba repeated what he had dictated and added, "Don't you fellows understand?" that they caught Baba's use of the words Ekbal, one hair, rhyming with Iqbal. Baba had expressed his sense of loss, but also the insignificance of it by comparing it to the loss of a hair. As mentioned, Chanji and Pendu had been sent by Baba to Bangalore, Mysore, and Madras on 15 April to discuss with the Dewan, Sir Mirza Ismail, the possibility of opening a center in Bangalore. After meeting with Sir Mirza, they returned to Panchgani on the 22nd. Hearing their report, Baba expressed his desire to personally confer with Ismail and inspect the possible sites. He left Panchgani the following afternoon in Elizabeth's car with Norana, Chanji, and Pendu. They drove to the Pune railway station and boarded the 6:30 p.m. train for Bangalore. And there's a note there. Elizabeth returned to Panchgani. Thanks, Eva. The footnotes show up on the screen, so I went ahead and read it.
Great. Thank you. I wasn't aware that they showed up. Great. Thanks, Eugene.
Yeah, in the case of whenever you're turning the pages, they show up for some reason. When others turn the pages, they don't show up. They arrived on the evening of 24 April 1938, and just as they stepped off the train, Age observed that nature greeted Baba with a heavy shower of rain. Baba and the group stayed at Sampath Iyengar's house in Shankarapuram. And the following day, Norana and Chanji were sent to talk with Sir Mirza, who received them cordially. He was most interested in Narina's experiences with Baba. After they returned, Baba went to Kuban House, a palatial royal residence, to visit for half an hour with Sir and Lady Akbar Haidari and her sister. And the footnote, Kuban House later became the governor of Mysore's residence and a state guest house, and is now called Raj Bhavan. Sir Akbar asked about Gandhi, and Baba remarked, Gandhi and Jinnah are both great souls, but they worry because they want results. One must try sincerely to do his duties, but results must always be left to God. Worrying about the results is not good. It's of no use. If one wishes to do anything for others, one must do it sincerely, and having done it, should not worry about the results. For results are not in human hands. It is for humans to do, but for God to ordain. It is not difficult, but men don't try. Just because it is human nature to think about the results doesn't mean one should worry about them. One may think, but must not worry. Try to dedicate all your acts to God. Let the results be His. Gandhi says he does everything for God, but still he worries, but he cares about getting results. On 27 April, Chanji was sent south to Madras, while Baba, Narina, and Pendu left Bangalore the same day, arriving in Panchgani the following evening. Chanji arrived on the 29th, and Baba immediately sent him back to Mysore and Bangalore for the third time. Baba had decided to postpone his planned move until March of the following year, and wished Chanji to inform Sir Mirza of this in person. Oh, Boston Terrier, right?
I think so, yeah.
Adorable. Gippy! Gippy's birthday, 5 May, 1938. Panchgani. In Bangalore, Baba had sent a telegram to Nagpur instructing Erich Jasawala to meet him in Panchgani. Erich's father, Papa Jasawala, was on tour when Baba's telegram arrived, and Erich's mother, Gaimai, told him to leave immediately. Erich was working in the garden at the time and casually replied that he would start the next morning. It would take time to wash and get ready, but Gaimai urged, Baba wants you immediately. Does immediately mean tomorrow? While this exchange was occurring, a second identical telegram from Baba arrived, instructing Erich to start for Panchgani at once. Gaimai said, I was telling you to go, but you would not listen. Now leave immediately. Erich did not wish to upset his mother, so he promptly left for the train station and arrived in Panchgani the next day, 29 April 1938, along with Jal Karawala. Baba was waiting for them. He was pleased to see Erich and remarked, "You came at once." Erich said, "You asked me to leave immediately, so I did." He didn't say mommy told him to go right away. Baba asked about his family and then motioned to the Mandali to leave and spoke privately with Erich using his alphabet board. Erich could read the board without difficulty, which was surprising for someone without practice. Baba said, "The world and its affairs are all illusory. Only God is real. Only God exists, and everything else is transient." Baba continued, "Conditions in the world are going from bad to worse, and the outbreak of war is definite. Everything will be chaotic, and millions will die. It will not be due to hate and hostility between mankind, but will be due to I-ness." It is all a divine game. Baba then asked, "What are your plans?" Erich said that he had sent his application to Benares University to study engineering. Suddenly, Baba posed this question: "If I were to ask you to leave everything behind, your studies, your friends, your property, your family, and come and stay with me, what would your answer be?" Erich replied cagily. Oh, that's me saying cagily. "By your grace, anything is possible." Baba smiled broadly and said, "Fine, come on 1st August. Erich nodded his consent and Baba told him to go. After bowing down, Erich was just leaving the room when Baba clapped and called him back. "Would it be possible for your whole family to leave everything and come to me?" Baba asked. Erich gave the same reply. "By your grace, anything is possible." Baba said, "Ask your father whether it will be possible and write me a letter. If he agrees, leave everything and bring your father, mother, sisters, and brother to Mehrabad on August 1st of this year." At the time, Erich had no idea why he had committed himself or how he would be able to fulfill his promise and dispose of the family's possessions in such a short time. There was the question of their house, their property, his sister's marriages, his younger brother Merwan's schooling, and most important of all, his father's permission. Baba said, "I am the Ancient One. Your decision pleases me more than you can know. You should stick to it at all costs." Baba then asked, "If I tell you to lead a tiger by its ears, would you be afraid?" "If you tell me to, and if I meet a tiger, of course I will do as you say," Erich replied. Baba beamed and said, "Instead of that, Have your supper and spend the night in my cave in Tiger Valley. If a tiger comes to the cave, do not be frightened. In the morning, leave straight for Nagpur without seeing me and come with all your family to Meherabad on August 1st. After spending the night in the cave, Erich departed for Nagpur. When he told the family what had transpired, they were overjoyed. Gaimai was especially pleased, as she had longed to stay with Baba for years. She said, "How lucky we are that Baba himself, the Avatar, is sending for us." Papa Jesawala had a fiery temperament. In fact, Baba's hand sign for him was shooting a gun, and he would refer to him as the pistol. And Erich was doubtful of his consent.
Thank you, Eugene.
Okay.
But when Papa was told what Baba had ordered, he spread his arms and told his family, "I have worked hard and built up this property for your sakes. It is for you, for your comfort and happiness. If you find happiness in staying with Baba, I have no objection, but do not throw the responsibility of selling all this upon me. You all attend to it. If you really want to go." According to Baba's instructions, Eric and his mother and sisters then spent an intense few months selling all their possessions except their car. Far fewer proceeds were realized due to the haste required. Society ridiculed them and opposed their decision, but they were firm in their resolve. Meanwhile, Sawak Kotawal's family of his wife Nargis and their children Najo, Adi, and Hila, along with Temi, Adi Senior's sister, Firoja's daughter, were called to spend their summer holidays with Baba at Panchgani. They arrived on 20th April 1938. Baba made a quick visit to Meherabad, where, with Elizabeth in her car on the 30th, returning to Panchgani on 3rd May. After discussing the Bangalore plans with Adi Senior and Ramju, Nauroji came and left for Bombay on the 3rd. Chanji returned to Panchgani on the 5th, and he too was then sent to Bombay. Eva, can you read from here, please? Thank you.
Sure. Erich was not the only person to spend a night in the Tiger Valley cave at Panchgani. Some months before, Elizabeth earnestly asked Baba if she could spend one night in his cave. Baba replied, "You may, but I will tell you when." Weeks later, Elizabeth reminded Baba, who smiled and asked, "Do you wish to go now or wait until the time is right?" As it came to pass, on Friday, 6 May 1938, Baba and the women Mandali accompanied Elizabeth to the cave, where she was instructed to remain for 12 hours. The following is her account. At 6 p.m. exactly, Baba locked me in, giving me the key inside. The last thing I remembered before everyone left me shut in alone for the night was Baba's hand extended through the iron bars, resting upon my head as if in blessing. The moment all had disappeared around the bend of the path, there was profound stillness. Fleeting thoughts passed through my mind, but these I controlled as Baba had instructed me. that I should concentrate throughout the night and not sleep unless I could not keep my eyes open any longer. According to Baba's instructions, I lit a lantern exactly at 10 minutes before 7 and then lay down. Once I heard heavy thuds, like steps approaching on the path, and I waited anxiously for someone to appear. But the sound, although close, passed away, and probably was a cow or a buffalo which had been grazing on the mountainside. 4 stars in the shape of a kite, which resembled the Southern Cross, stood out in the sky more vividly than the rest. I remembered looking at my watch to find it was not far from midnight. Determined to remain awake, I continued to think of Baba. Unexpectedly, a shock like electricity passed through my body from head to foot, particularly along the spine. It continued in waves of varying currents and became so strong 2 or 3 times that it seemed to lift me, as would a rush of wind. Soon I felt myself swinging into space, the bedding unevenly swaying beneath me. I felt that if only I could remain on it, as on a magic carpet, I would be carried safely. But it rocked so much that I remembered to call out Baba's name, and immediately the troubled waters were stilled. Coming out of a daze, I found my arms folded across me as they crossed the arms of the dead. They were so numb that it took a while before I could move them. Whatever the state was which I passed through, I was consciously unconscious during it. A seeming sense of time had passed when I was aroused by the cheery sound of voices, which I recognized to be those of my friends. They appeared inside the cavern and called to me that it was 5 o'clock and that they had been sent to summon me. I remembered Baba telling me not to leave the cave until 6 a.m. sharp. This seemed conflicting. As I was wondering what to do, the thought came to me that I had better do what Baba himself had told me. At that moment, Baba glimmeringly appeared in the entrance, and light flooded the cave with unusual brightness. He smilingly answered my mental inquiry by saying, "Do as I said, leave only at 6. Sometime later, opening my eyes and looking at my watch, I found it was nearing 6 o'clock, and I rose to leave the cave. I felt fresh and invigorated. Daylight was faintly penetrating the cave. After returning home to the bungalow, I asked Baba, "Was I dreaming?" Baba replied, "No, it was more like a daze. You were neither awake nor asleep. You actually experienced these things physically." Then I inquired, "Was it symbolic?" "Yes," answered Baba. "In the future, you will know in detail its full meaning." Since Naja was not well in Panchgani, Kitty was doing the cooking. She had Baba's strict instructions to see that no food was left over or wasted. But at times, something did remain, as she was not used to cooking for so many. When there was leftover dal, Kitty would drink it down, and if there happened to be too much vegetable that day, this too she would consume. Age was amazed that a well-off British woman was disposing of food in this manner. It was a testament to her intense desire to fulfill her master's order. Baba had also given the women the order that, on Sundays, they were to keep silence and eat only one meal at 3 p.m. of bread, butter, and tea. Kitty provided this simple food. While Baba was traveling to Bangalore to look at sites for the ashram, some of the group approached Kitty and asked for toast instead of bread. She agreed, and by the following Sunday, a few more wanted the same. When Baba returned, he did not mention this breach of his order. It was only a month later in Meherabad, when Baba called all together early one morning and distributed oranges, that he remarked, "Kitty thinks more of pleasing others than she does of pleasing me." Baba then brought up the incident in Panchgani, and Kitty tried vainly to defend herself. Baba said he would relieve her of her household duties and give them to someone else. Kitty got so upset she threw her orange across the room, and it landed at Baba's feet. Baba then made a strange remark. "Now your slate is clean." At the time, Kitty wondered what Baba meant, but years later she understood Baba's remark to indicate that her slate of both good and so-called bad deeds must be balanced. Baba pointed out to her, "To please others, you broke my order, but by your pleasing all and displeasing me, you will gain nothing. Try only to please me, and in doing so, even if you displease the whole world, you will gain everything. You are attentive to the pleasure of all, but ignore my instructions. Try only to keep me pleased, and if, by doing so, all others are displeased, have no care for it." Baba would often warn Rano not to argue. Even if she tried to explain something, Baba would snap, "Don't argue."
Thank you so much, Eva.
Oh, you're welcome.
Meher, Kiran, would you like to read next?
Yeah, thanks. One day, when some mishap occurred, Baba looked at her sharply and repeated, "Don't argue," gesturing for her to button her lip. Rano replied, "But I am not arguing. Baba, I am simply explaining it to you." This upset Baba even more. Frustrated, Rano bitterly complained, "There is no use in my staying with you since you are always displeased with me." Baba replied, "I won't let you go and will never let you go." Baba never did let Rano leave, and of all the Western women who were to come, she was the only one whom Baba kept in India and who stayed with him until the last. But it was never easy. Discussions continued in Panchgani about establishing a center for Baba. Norina, who had been to Mysore and Bangalore, wished an elaborate universal spiritual center to be established. One day, she was talking with Elizabeth about the possibility of relocating in either Mysore, Bangalore, Hyderabad, or Panchgani. Norina's grand visions did not appeal to Elizabeth's more practical nature. Elizabeth tried to point out the difficulties involved and flaws in Norina's plans. But Norina was not to be dissuaded. Once, when they were discussing the issue, Baba called them. He allowed them to continue their argument in his presence and then said, "You are both in the right, but Norina has got to go a little slower, and Elizabeth has got to try to move a little faster." Looking at both with a smile, he added, "Now both embrace." On another occasion, when there was a quarrel between two women, Baba intervened and stated, "Love and forget. This is the only thing that matters, and it pays. Almost all of you are weak. By weak, I mean taken up with desires. Anger is weakness, pride is weakness, and so on. If a mother found her child weak, she would love it all the more. So all love more. Don't you remember what I told you in Nasik? Learn to say, Jane do, let it go. Give up wanting the last word. Give up all wants and be happy. But you must try consciously. Now be happy. I forgive you all, but continue trying. Meals always seemed to be a sharp point of contention, especially now that there were both Easterners and Westerners living together, sharing the same fare. Indian food was too spicy for the Westerners, and Western food too insipid for the Indian palate. In the beginning, Baba was particularly attentive to the Westerns, lest the spicy food make them ill. But gradually, he stopped taking an interest in such matters and stopped catering to their tastes. One day in Panchgani, when discussing the menu, Baba remarked, "Dislikes are as much wants as like. Both are desires of the ego, and hence both have to go. Some like one thing and some do not like another. You like one thing but not another. Both are opposite desires and should be left. As far as desires go, you should consciously try to be like a stone. A stone never says, I want this, I don't want that. It is oblivious to likes and dislikes. When you go beyond your limited wants, your likes and dislikes, and turn into stones, then you will experience infinite consciousness. On 13th May 1938, Rustum's children, Meheru, Nagu, and Behram, were sent to Panchgani along with Tehmi. On the 17th, Chanji arrived for a few weeks, bringing Nauroji's daughter Arnavaz and Goher Irani. But Goher fell ill with fever and tonsillitis and was sent back to Bombay the next day. Chanji also brought Mansari for a short visit at this time. Baba made another visit to Mehrabad on 19th May with Norina and Elizabeth and instructed Audi Sr., who had been staying in Nasik, to find a suitable rented bungalow somewhere in Ahmednagar for the woman until the top portion of the water tank building was ready. Nusserwan Satta and Manik Ranji were asked to lend their assistance. They suggested the PWD, Public Works Department bungalow, and Baba, Kaka, Nusserwan, and Padri went to have a look at it on the 22nd. Baba liked it and it was rented from the 15th of June. Baba stopped in Pune on his way back to Panchgani, where he met Ramju, Sarosh, and Rustam at Baba House. The opening day box office receipt of Rustam's film had been disappointing, but Baba consoled and encouraged him. Footnote: Rustam's film ran for 2 weeks in Bombay at the Minerva Talkies from 21st May 1938. On Sunday, 29th May, Papa Jasawala and Aruch arrived from Nagpur to see Baba and informed him that everything was arranged for their coming. Adi Sr. arrived from Nasik. Baba spoke with him about sending Daulat Mai to Persia, which Baba stated would be spiritually beneficial for her. The separate parties left the following day. Adi Jr., Tehmi, and Ramju's children left with Adi Sr. According to Baba's order, Delia and Margaret were to stay in England until the war broke out in Europe. Both missed Baba desperately, and on the 29th, Baba sent Delia this letter to cheer her up. You have grown much in your understanding and realize that all I do and all I make each of you suffer is only to draw you closer in love to me, your beloved. Could I bear to see you all suffer if it were not that the goal to which suffering is leading you is the pearl of great price? The love that passeth all understanding. Why are you one of my circle? Because you have within you the very thing you now so endlessly desire, the capacity to love and to love to the very end. And when this power to love has reached its perfected state, that is, when you are without any thought of self, then you will experience a happiness beyond anything you have as yet experienced. This is union, love for the beloved free from self. It is the effort you are making to control your moods and emotions and to get above dark periods that has made you feel me so near. You are right when you say I thought you so that your longing and desires for me have become increasingly intensified. Why? Is it not I who am this desire and longing? You are mine, and it is myself in you. I love in you I love. You are mine, and it is myself in you I love. Is not the struggle worthwhile? In June 1938, Sidhu was called from Meherabad to Panchgani and told to bring Jagan's wife Shanta. When he arrived, Baba told Sidhu to take Bhagirath sightseeing in Mahabaleshwar and then have their food when they returned to Panchgani. Siddhi took Bhagirath and showed him all the sights. On the way back, they felt hungry and ate in a restaurant. Only afterward did they remember Baba's injunction to have their meals at Panchgani upon their return. Filled with trepidation, they entered the Mandli's house. Baba was waiting for them. As soon as he saw them, he asked them to go have their supper. Their horse, fearful for disobeying, they confessed that they had already eaten. Baba asked, what was my order? Both men acknowledged their mistake. Slapping them soundly, Baba chided, always remember my instructions. There was more to the incident than they knew at the time, for soon after this, they were saved from a serious car accident while out on an errand for Baba, which they attributed to Baba's slap. Once in Panchgani, Memo lost her temper, stormed out of the bungalow, and hid behind some bushes. Baba himself went to search for her, but could not find her. He sent a servant named Nana Koli to look for her. Footnote, please. Nana Koli and his wife Tani were old servants and had been working at Meherabad since its establishment in the 1920s. Unlike most of the employees, they worked out of love for Baba and continued to do so for many years. When Nana found her, he requested that she return to the house. But Shirin Mai's indignation had not yet cooled, and she flatly refused to comply. When Baba was informed, he went to her. Shirin Mai was still fuming and would not listen. Baba seemingly got fed up with her and went back inside. After a while, he again sent Nana. When Nana explained to Shirin Mai how upset Baba was, she went back and the incident was forgotten. On Thursday, 2nd June 1938, Vishnu's cousin Indu and her husband Vishwanath S. Haldankar came to see Baba at Panchgani. Vishwanath was a goldsmith by profession and a happy-go-lucky sort of fellow. Baba asked them about Belgaum, as Vishwanath hailed from the city. As Baba listened to his description, he expressed interest in viewing the area as a possible site for the proposed ashram and went there for a day on the 4th, accompanied by Vishnu. Chanji had taken Arnavas and Nargis to Pune and met Baba and Vishnu in Belgaum. Baba was given a tour of Belgaum and liked it very much. It was affordable, the climate was mild, so it would be suitable for the Westerners. It wasn't far from Pune and Ahmednagar, and the site shown him was full of shady mango trees. Naval Talati had had a heart attack in Nasik on 25th May and was being treated. On 10th June, however, he died suddenly at the age of 45. News of his unexpected demise brought the recollection of the master's words uttered the previous silence day at Meherabad when he had stated, "One of my closest mandali will die during the year." Baba returned to Ahmednagar from Panchgani on Wednesday, 15 June 1938 with Muhammad Mast and the men and women mandali. Sarosha arranged for Baba and the women to stay at the PWD irrigation bungalow in the town as the construction work on Meherabad Hill was not yet completed. Muhammad was sent back to Meherabad. Baba would be driven practically daily by Adi Senior from Ahmednagar to Meherabad to inspect the progress of the building work. The dome over his underground crypt, the upper story on the tank, the maternity home, etc. Occasionally, he would go twice a day and exhort Pendu, Kale Mama, and Nauroji to complete the work as soon as possible. Rustum brought Ferni to see Baba at Meherabad on 22nd June. She had refused to eat or drink anything in Nasik. She was kept at the family quarters with Neelu and Masaji attending to her. Baba personally spent a few hours a day with her for 2 days. Rustum returned to Nasik. On the 26th, Adi Senior arrived with Dinesh Chaudiya of Nagpur, her brother, and the Deshmukhs. Deshmukh was much improved after his 2 month seclusion in a room of his house and had used the time to write a biography of Baba in Marathi. Dinesh was taken on a tour of Meherabad, and on 1st July, Baba took her to meet the women mandali at the PWD bungalow in Ahmednagar. For many years, Sorabji Desai's niece, Mani, had desired to stay permanently with Baba. During Baba's recent stay at Panchgani, the earnest young woman had come twice about this matter. Baba had made her go back home each time, but he instructed her to be prepared to move to Ahmednagar whenever he happened to call her. In June 1938, Baba fulfilled his promise, and accordingly, Mansari, as she was later known, became a permanent member of the Women Mandal, joining them at the Ahmednagar bungalow on the 15th of June at the age of 28. Mansari was put in charge of cooking, which she did during the next 2 months of their stay in Ahmednagar. Naja was still ill, and Kitty had been shouldering all the responsibilities in the kitchen single-handedly.
Thank you, Meher. Betty, can you read next from here?
Sure. Mansari's connection with Meher Baba was very deep, and she had not been neglected by him all these years. Since the age of 5, she had suffered from an incurable skin disease. The best doctors had been called, and she was sent to the finest hospitals in Bombay, but no medicine or treatment worked. When she was 18, Kaikobad Dastur, a family friend, had visited Meherabad and taken her with him to meet Baba. Mansari had agreed, even though at the time she was skeptical of her family's faith in Baba. Meeting Baba, however, changed her heart, and she bowed to him weeping. Kaikobad narrated her sufferings to Baba, who remarked to her, "And only because of this you weep so much?" Mansari replied, "I am not weeping because of my disease, but because of your love." Baba consoled her with these instructions. "Don't worry, you will be permanently cured. Take some ash from my duni, and every morning before tea, say my name and swallow a pinch of it." Returning home to Navsari, Mansari followed Baba's exact instructions, and in a month, she was completely cured. Next page. Soon after her recovery, Mansari's uncle, Sorabji Desai, went to Baba. Returning to Navsari, he told the family, "Baba sends his love and blessings to you all." Turning to Mansari, he remarked, "Baba seems to have developed a skin disease exactly like yours." Mansari grew frantic with worry, believing Baba had taken on her affliction and was suffering on her behalf. Her disease returned. When she next met Baba in Bombay, she prayed to him not to take on her suffering again. Baba replied, "Let it be as it is. Neither you nor I will have to suffer. This was all my game to draw you to me. It was I who created this incurable disease, and now that you are mine, you will never suffer from it again." As Baba had promised, the disease left Mansari forever. Mansari was not the only new addition to the women mandali. On 28 June, 4 Westerners arrived in Bombay on the Conte Verde and were then driven to Ahmednagar by Elizabeth and Norina to join Baba's burgeoning ashram. They were Nadine Tolstoy from America and Heidi Mertens, Helen Dahm, and Irene Billow from Switzerland. Footnote: 2 other women from Switzerland, Alice Shetland and Frida Oberhäuser, had been invited to India by Baba but were unable to come. The details of their personal contact with Baba in Europe are not known. Irene contracted jaundice shortly after she arrived. So, by Baba's orders, Rano began nursing her. Baba supervised her treatment, and she gradually recovered. One person who did not recover from his malady was a mental patient staying at the Mad Ashram in Meherabad. He died on 6 July 1938 and was buried the next day. Baba came to Meherabad on the 7th and severely scolded Ghani, whom he blamed for being negligent in the care of this person. On the 9th, most of the women, except for Mera, Naja, and Khorshid, came to Meherabad to attend a fair and watch a procession held by the Arangan villagers. While Baba was there, 2 British Army officers from the Small Arms School came. They had an interview with Baba at Meherabad the following day, and Kitty spoke with them. Chanji arrived at Meherabad for the 13th anniversary of Baba's silence on Sunday, 10th July 1938. Dr. Alu Kambata and Dr. Paramanand, a fellow female doctor helping Alu run her Bombay clinic, accompanied Chanji. Alu wished to go to Ireland for a medical course, and Baba told her, "Go fearlessly. Leave everything to me. I will see to all here and there. Write me a letter every 21 days." Alu was afraid she would not be able to restart her clinic if she left, but following Baba's instructions, she went to Ireland and returned to India 9 months later. No special function was observed to honor that Silence Day. The previous year, Baba had remarked, "I like the year 13, and so I might speak during the coming year." But another year had passed without a sound escaping his lips. Baba had been hinting at some new change to happen, and on this day remarked, "No more pampering after the 18th of October. Pleader had a discussion with Baba on the 10th, wherein he voiced his concern about the timetable for the spiritual awakening Baba had promised him. The Mandali had heard that he was allowing people to offer him flowers and pay homage to him as Baba's advanced disciple. Baba presided at a meeting in his Rahuri cabin at Lower Meherabad at 10 a.m. on 11th July with Ramju, Chanji, Gani, Nani, Sampatha Yangar, Adi Sr., Norina, and Elizabeth. The purpose of the meeting was to reorganize the MEHER Gazette and begin a new magazine. Baba appointed the editors, Elizabeth as managing editor, Norina as literary editor, Chanji as newsletter, and Nani as secretary. Datu Mehendarj, who was working in Adi Sr.'s office, was to serve as their clerk. Other contributing editors such as Deshmukh and Gani were to write about Vedantism and Sufism. Another meeting was held on the 14th to decide on a name for the new publications. Chanji suggested simply the name Meher Baba, and all, including Baba, approved. Baba, however, later decided on Meher Baba Journal. And there he is at the Rahuri cabin. Beautiful photo. Garrett Fort had been trying to earn money to contribute to Baba's cause, but so far he had been unsuccessful. Baba wrote to him on 14 July 1938. "I know every detail of what you have already passed through and have to pass through in future, and I have chalked out my plans and marked the lines to guide and direct the destinies of all who belong to me and have the reins in my hands. I want you to stand and face it all, and however confused or bewildered, pass through it all yourself to get rid of these once and for all. Suffering is the price you have to pay for these experiences that lift you higher on the way to truth. All the help, internal as well as external, that at times amazes you and others, comes to you through Baba's inner working and guidance. Of this help, you must always rest assured. I won't let you down spiritually, whatever happens, even if you, in your moments of desperation, leave me or turn against me. You won't, I know, but I just mention it for the sake of explanation. My love for you will never fail." Throughout July 1938, Baba continued going to Meherabad to make sure the construction work there was progressing, and also to attend to the musts and the mad, who were still being kept at Lower Meherabad, near the mess quarters behind the main building. Once Pendu, Vishnu, and Sidhu were sitting together when Baba and Adi Sr. arrived. "What are you people doing here?" Baba asked, irritated. "Have you joined me only to enjoy life?" "Not to enjoy life," Adi said, adding fuel to the fire, "but to gossip." The fact that Vishnu, Pandu, and Sidhu were discussing the daily market requirements and not chit-chatting idly. Oh, the fact was that Vishnu, Pandu, and Sidhu were discussing the daily market requirements and not chit-chatting idly. Vishnu grew livid at Adi's remark, but checked himself. Baba took all three of the Meherabad Mandali to task, and Vishnu's temper rose.
Thank you so much, Betty. Geeta ji, would you like to read next?
Well, when Baba was asked to leave for his room, Adi said something else. And and Vishnu slapped him hard. This displeased Baba, and he ordered Vishnu to bow at Adi's feet. Vishnu obeyed, and both men had to embrace. Baba directed Adi to drive Vishnu to Ahmednagar that day to go to the bazaar, and ordinarily Vishnu would cycle. By evening, they returned. They were friends again. Amina Jafar was permitted to visit the women Mandali on 16 July. On the 22nd, Chandji took Amir Khan to Manmad, from where the boy left for his hometown. In the PWD bungalow, Baba explained to the women about Maya, Sanskaras, and Yoga. On Sunday, 24 July 1938, he spoke about happiness. Everything that people do in the world is done to obtain happiness. I'm getting a little. Sorry. No,
It's okay. Are you comfortable reading?
Yes.
All right, continue. Thank you.
Thank you. I think if somebody could continue today, because I'm getting a little bumbled up with the script.
All
The
right.
print
Thank
is a
you.
little
Thank you
small.
so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, all good.
Somebody can continue, I think.
Maybe Majipen, are you reading today?
What about
Jay,
Meryl?
yeah. Jay, are you reading today?
Oh, sorry.
Marilyn's hand is up, Mona.
I thought Jay is reading. Is he reading today? Jay, are you reading today?
He said no.
He said
Okay.
no. How about Marilyn?
Madden can read next.
Everything that people, oh wait, didn't he just read that? Everything that people do? Where did we leave off?
That's a good place to start, Marilyn.
Okay. Everything that people do in the world is done to obtain happiness. Seeking power is to derive happiness. People strive after money, wishing to find happiness through possessions. Hold on. That is all right when money is used rightly, but it leads to misery and unhappiness when bad use is made of it. Science also seeks to promote happiness. Inventions are made for the happiness of others and can be so if used rightly. But when used for the wrong purposes, they lead only to greater unhappiness and misery. Take, for example, airplanes. If they are put to use for war, they bring death and destruction. So what matters is happiness, since everybody seeks to be happy. When we gain God, permanent happiness is gained. Happiness based on self-forgetfulness alone leads to permanent happiness to God. When one loses the self in making others happy, one attains real happiness, which is God. All other forms of happiness are fleeting and changeable. This real happiness must be very strong to enable one to support all the suffering that comes to one, or like that which I have to bear. Baba and the women had been to see the Walt Disney movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that day, and the conversation turned to the subject of animals. Baba indicated it would be a good idea if one of the group conducted an animal hospital at Meherabad. They discussed this back and forth, and Baba then joked, "When you were all working in the hospital for the poor, I will see how strong you are. Smells, blood, awful wounds, fainting, agonies of the dying." After more teasing, Baba concluded, "While you have all been listening and talking, I was doing universal work, and yet I was with you." On 25 July, while working with the Musts at Meherabad, Baba remarked, "I don't feel like leaving here. I feel so happy to work with them." 4 days later, Baba brought Kitty, Rano, and Nani to watch him at the Meherabad Must Ashram. Baba bathed over 20 of the inmates in 40 minutes and looked supremely happy, which made a deep impression on the Westerners. Amina Jafar and Ramju's wife, Khatija, had also accompanied Baba from the irrigation bungalow. Borkar came to see Baba on the 25th at Meherabad, and Baba gave certain instructions regarding his spiritual practices, which Borkar was keen to do. Fulfilling his promise, Erich brought his family from Nagpur to Ahmednagar on Monday, 1 August 1938, to join Baba's ashram. Papa Jasawala had come with them also, and after discussing all the arrangements with Baba, Baba sent him back to Nagpur on the 5th. He still had another year of service before he retired with a pension, and Baba advised him to complete his obligation and join him after 1 year. Before he left for Nagpur, Baba joked with him, "Papa, I want Erich to be with me from his childhood. I wanted Erich to be with me from his childhood, but you would not part with him. But had you turned him over to me at that time, I would have had to look after his upbringing and studies. So I thank you for giving him to me now and saving me all the trouble. It has lightened my burden considerably." After settling in, Baba instructed Erich to help Chanji with his correspondence work. He was also to hold the umbrella over Baba when Baba walked up and down the hill. Erich's brother Meron and his cousin Dadi, who were both small boys, stayed at Lower Meherabad with the men. Erich's mother, Gaimai, stayed with the women Mandali in PWD bungalow, along with her daughters Meru and Manu. Baba gave nicknames to Mani Desai and Mani Jasawala to distinguish them from his sister Mani. Mani Desai was to be known as Mansari. for she came from Navsari, and Mani Jesawala as Manpur or Manu, for she was from Nagpur. The only thorn in the whole affair was that Baba had told Erich to bring his automobile with them when they came. Since Papa Jesawala also needed the car in Nagpur, Erich explained to Baba that his father had insisted on keeping the car for at least another 6 months. Baba was not happy about this and remarked, "This will always be a blemish on my heart." At that time, Erich did not understand Baba's comment, but 18 years later, after the automobile accident in 1956 in Satara, in which Erich was driving, Erich recalled Baba's words and thought that the accident related in some way to his not obeying Baba in 1938. Shortly before coming to Baba, Erich had 2 significant dreams. One night he dreamed that Baba had come to his house, and Baba began moving about freely. He told Erich, "Stop everything and come." Baba made Papa and Gaimai stand before him. He gave 2 children into their custody and started to leave. Erich said quickly, "There is a lot of milk in the house. It will spoil." Baba spoke in the dream, "Throw it away in the gutter, and after cleaning the pot, come to me." Sometime later, Erich had another dream. He was driving a car with Baba by his side. Baba was elbowing him, urging him to drive faster. He accelerated, but still Baba wanted him to drive faster. A sea loomed large in front of them, and Baba told him to drive into it. In the water, Baba still insisted that Erich drive faster, which he did. Erich was sweating profusely, and after driving very, very far, he saw a white building before him. Baba signaled to park by the side of the building, and with much difficulty he did. But the car got trapped in the sand. Here his dream ended. The strange dream stayed with Erich for many days and helped him maintain his resolve that since he had come, he would stay. Excuse me. The strange dreams stayed with Erich for many days and helped him.
It's okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
No, I can
Helped him maintain his resolve.
maintain his resolve that since he had come, he would stay with Baba permanently. You want me to read more?
It's okay. Thank you so much. On 3rd August 1938, Sampath Iyengar came again from Madras to see Baba. He left the following evening. Sorry, from
Breaking up.
and kept her back
You're
at
breaking
issue
up.
quarters. All
Um,
right. Can you continue, Betty? Thanks.
On 3rd August 1938, Sampath Iyengar came again from Madras to see Baba. He left the following evening. Rustam had brought Frani from Nasik and kept her in Upasni Maharaj's room at Kushru quarters. Baba saw her on the 3rd on his way back to the PWD and told Rustam to take her back to Nasik, at least for a month. What is the PWD?
Public Works Department. I think it's a
Public
government
Works
building.
Department.
Thank you. Okay.
What did she say?
Public Works Department.
Right, right. And let's end this at, you know, at the end of the next paragraph, right before the very end, because it's 12 o'clock now. We could start before we get into Baba's explanation. Okay?
On the 6th, Baba went on a picnic with the women. The next day, Sarosh arranged a special showing at 10 a.m. at Sarosh Cinema of Mad About Music, a musical comedy which Baba liked very much. And
I
All
think,
right.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
where we should. Okay.
So we are going to end here at page 1931. We'll pick up from the bottom next week. Thank you everybody for joining
you.
in. Is the recording still on, or I don't
Yes.
see it
yes,
anywhere?
it is. Yes.
I think.
Let's end the recording.
Okay. So can somebody stop the recording? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Can you stop
everyone.
the recording?
It's not stopped. Who's host?